Good morning, YouTube. This is Tammy Pie, and I have a VR for you. So I watched this this video yesterday. This is the hashtag 54321 Tarot by our own Miss Kelly Bear. So I won't explain the tag for you. We'll just learn it as we go along. But the first prompt, 5, is 5 decks. And they could be any decks for any reason. And the reason I chose is these are the 5 most recent decks that I had laid my hands on before I watched Kelly's video. Okay? So, in no particular order, because I can't remember, this is my Alchemical Tarot Renewed, 4th edition. It's an older deck. I have it modded, trimmed in different colors of green. And it's a little glossier than the current printings, and this deck wore really well. I probably won't get rid of this deck ever because it was one of my earliest tarot educations. I have it's formative. It's one of my formative decks, and I still keep it kind of close. Just because I still truly enjoy this deck. 2 of water. It's a great card. So that is the Alchemical Tarot Renewed, 4th edition. I pulled this deck out. I forget who I saw playing with this, but this is one I traded for the Pacific Northwest Tarot, and I really like this. Beautiful matte cardstock, comes edged in this dark gray or black, and these are all animals that are near me because I live in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. And I actually relate very well to this deck. In fact, I think I might just take this to Northwest Tarot Symposium because I think other people will kind of get it, especially if you're from this region. It's funny because last time I was coming home from Seattle from a family get-together, there was a sign on the side of the highway that said, "Watch out for elk." And like not 50 feet further, there was a little herd of elk sitting there eating. But yeah, great, wonderful. Sweet cardstock. It's a little heavy, a little thick. Shuffles beautifully. I've always really loved the backs of this. I just think they're beautiful. So that is the Pacific Northwest Tarot by Brendan Marnell. This is an oldie but a goodie. I was playing around with this because I have done a different type of mod with this deck. The cardstock is really good. It's a really nice matte cardstock. It has kind of a sharp gilding. That doesn't bother me that much, but it was hard to shuffle. So one of the things I do with my decks, if I can't get a good bendy shuffle out of them, is I will, let's see if you can see this, I'll stretch out the cardstock. So you can just do it and these cards are sturdy, they're super strong. So what happens when you do this is it loosens up the paper. And then what happens is it kind of fluffs it out. Now, I was hoping this would make it easier to shuffle, but it's still kind of hard to shuffle that way. I also put a little bit of my shuffling powder in it, but it does overhand really beautifully. And it's also kind of a bonding thing, you know? When you go through every single card and stretch it out, you spend a minute with every single card. And remember why you love this deck so much. Because it's funny and sweet and interesting and different. So that is the Shadowlands Tarot by Monica Bodirski. And she has a number of decks out there. Really, really good old classic. I guess not that old, but it's become a new classic. You know, one of those decks everybody loves. This is the Supernatural Tarot. Join the hunt. And this is my what do you call it? Inside Edition deck. And I was listening to YouTube and edging it in the colors that are in the cards. Oops. So this is like a semi-illustrated pip deck. So some of the cards are pips, some are not. But it is attached to the TV show Supernatural. And it's really well done. It really... all the characters they picked for the archetypes are great. These guys are hilarious. The pips are fine. The ones that are not pips are also fine. I love all the different blades. I love when they randomly put a person in for one of the pips. And I am currently rewatching the whole series. I'm in season 4 at this point. And listening to the podcast Ride or Die. And it's just great. It's just a lot of fun. So that is the Supernatural Tarot, which I was modding, so probably take that to Newt's too. All right, what do I have left here? How many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the last one, I've been doing kind of a card by card study of this one. Again, this actually was, Thoth was my first tarot deck. So I learned the Thoth system first. And I have always thought that if you start out with Thoth, everything else is kind of easier. than if you start out with, say, RWS or Marseille, and then try to move on to these more Golden Dawn or decks which are more symbolic, have more layers of stuff in them. So this is I believe 1978 greenie. I got it off eBay, and the images are a little bit clearer. The coloration is different. I'm gonna say different. It's a like in this card, it's duller than your standard large format green US games. But in the scanning, this feels more true to the paintings. You can really see the brushstroke and how she blended things in. And to me, the little bits of the elements of the painting are clearer in this particular printing. So that is my 5 tarot decks that I touched just before watching Kelly's video. 4 tarot books, and the 4 that I chose are 4 tarot books that I dip into all the time. So if I'm doing a reading for myself, if I've got like a large spread and I'm thinking, sometimes I want to look up like different, what's a different meaning, or just about anything. This is the Holistic Tarot by Benebell. And I look at it for card meanings sometimes. In the meanings, we have things like, if you have a bunch of knights, what that means a bunch of guys. If you have a bunch of 7s, or just, different stuff. Oh, I was looking for that. Yeah, I use my extra cards or whatever they send with your order as bookmarks. So, and then she's got spreads back here, I Ching. Just about whatever you could imagine you might need for tarot is in here. This is another tome, the Tarot Magic, Alchemy, Hermeticism, and Neoplatonism, 2nd edition by Robert M. Place. And I meant to, over the summer, read this cover to cover, but truthfully, I had already read the guidebook he wrote just for the Alchemical tarot, and so a lot of this stuff I already knew. But I do dip into it. In particular, if I'm using the Alchemical Tarot or the, I now have the Tarot Sevenfold Mystery. Sometimes I'll just, even if I'm pulling a Thoth card, I will open this up and just see what Robert has to say about it, because he's got some really good insight. I will also very often use Milo DuQuette's book. And the reason I use this one is because everything is very simple and succinct. I usually only am looking for symbology in an actual Thoth card. But sometimes, again, I could be looking at Supernatural Tarot and say, well, what does he have to say about the 3 of Pentacles? Because Milo DuQuette is a super smart guy, right? And here's one. It's just, Sasha Graham's pretty cool. And this is 365 tarot spreads. And the way she has it set up is by date. So, for instance, today is September 19th? Something like that. So you could do the Pirate spread, or Sophia Loren's Sensuality spread, or you could just pick out, whatever. But there's a number of different ways to do it. She covers a huge quantity of different types of spreads that you can you can get into for just about anything. And then back here, there is a section that kind of cross-references it. So you got general advice, goddess and god, grief, sadness, and moving forward, health and well-being, holidays, like that. Anyway, Sasha Graham, 365 Tarot Spreads. Great book for dipping into and out of. All right, so 3 tarot spreads. Let's use Pacific Northwest. So I still love your basic Celtic Cross. And I use it all the time. I think it has a lot to say. This is your, this is you, your situation. This is something that crosses your situation, a problem, something that is affecting it. This is what is at the top of your mind. This is what is underlying the problem. This is the recent path and how it affects the possible near future and how it affects it, the environment around it, the emotions around it, a hope you may have, and an outcome card. And I mean, I just know it really well, so it feels correct to me. I also like to do the 9-card box spread, but I do it a little differently. If I am doing say a love reading, then I would shuffle and I would either find the significator for the person. For instance, if I was doing a love reading for my friend Paula, I consider her the Queen of Pentacles. She's an older lady. She is really good with money. So I would take this and look for the Queen of Pentacles. Ace, Queen of Wands, Queen of Pentacles. Okay, so I will take the 4 in front of that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 4 behind it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And here we have our 9-card spread. And this puts the Queen right in the middle. So we have, here you are, the Queen of Pentacles, and you may be having a crisis of the ego, right? Because these 2 cards, this spread, anyone who uses it will tell you it was taken from Lenormand, right? So the 2 main cards in the spread are going to be the center and that first left-hand corner. And then from here, you can either do present, future, past, what's holding you up, what's pushing you down. You can do these 4 cards. You can do these 4 cards. You can go rows down. You can do an L shape. Just however you have time and energy and feel like you need to read. And then the 3rd spread that I really love is one that I learned at Newt's last year from Jamie Sawyer. And that is basically a from here to there. And this is really good for, like, if you have a goal or something you're trying to get done. So this is your here, and this is where you're going or what you're trying to get done or your goal or you get the idea. And then you're going to give them 3 steps in between. So here we have a store, an Etsy store that you're trying to open. Okay, wow, 3 of Pentacles, perfect. And then here you have, you're trying to get your business to be more out there, all right? Knight of Pentacles, it's a slow process, okay? And then here are your steps. Don't be afraid. Pay attention to your money. And be a boss. Be the leader in this, okay? So here we go. 3 spreads. Okay, so the 2 is either 2 tarot habits or 2 things that you use in your tarot. And I'm going to give you tarot habits. Okay, so I am really into smell. So this is a old candle glass, and I keep my stick incense in it. This is sacred elephant incense, which I'm almost out of, sadly, but I have an order coming. I almost always light incense. I also have this kind, which I got in Portland at a cool store, but I don't have like rice ash, so it's kind of a bummer. If I can't use incense, I will use essential oils or Florida water. But smells are important to me. It sends me to another place. Okay, so smells. And this is one I don't use all the time. I don't really know. How am I going to... So one of the things I do sometimes, it is a tarot habit, is in my playlists, I believe I have it public. If I don't have it public now, I'll make it public. I have a list called Music I Love. And I will put that on and put my earphones on. And then I will kind of jump around and dance and put my hands up and out. It's like a stretchy dance, right? And listen to my music and skip around the house because a lot of times I'm up before anyone else is. So I'm quietly dancing around, la 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 la, and it loosens you up. That physical, between the music, which is important, and the physical motion, it's, yeah. So that's another habit. Okay, so last one is either a bit of advice or a card that you particularly connect with and why. And I'm going to give you the Queen of Cups in Thoth. This is my most used significator. This is me looking into the pool of empathy and otherworldliness, emotions. I tend to be a kind of person who can pay attention to about one thing at a time. So I do end up gazing. Here's a veil. These are all also my favorite colors. I love the green and the blue together. If there was a little more purple, it wouldn't hurt my feelings. Yeah, Queen of Cups. That's my one card. And since the beginning, I've always very much associated myself to this being. All right. So the last step is to tag 5 people, and I'll put it down in the bar, but I tag BB at Pure Red Velvet, Cheyenne at Cheyenne Shining, Nancy at Star and Flurry, Rhiannon at Rhiannon Reads, and Honey Lou. Honey Lou? I think it's just called Honey Lou. So go get you some, all right? And thank you for coming.